What up, what up, what up, Ethos? Welcome to another edition of DFS today. This is your Sunday, November 28th show. We have a nice 5 games on the docket, but the dreaded split in 2. It's unfortunate. We do have a lot of value, especially in that latter half, that latter slate. With Sacramento missing people, Memphis missing a big guy, Toronto might be missing a couple people, Detroit and LA always question marks, Boston, a lot of people on the injury report. And then in that first game, with all that value showing up in the later half, we have names like Giannis and Curry and George and Sabonis, among others. That we don't get to use it on because of the value being had in the latter half. It is unfortunate, but here we are. We'll get through it. We'll show you who we like, who we don't in both those slates. And yeah, without further ado, let's get into it on this Sunday edition. The first game on the docket, we have the Golden State. Let me start over. First game on the docket, we have the NBA best 17-2 Golden State Warriors traveling to LA to take on the Clippers. We have a 218 game total and a pick'em, which really nice. So pretty standardly high total for two teams that are some of the best defensive teams in the league. And a pick'em. Right. On the injury report, we have the Warriors, Andre Iguodala, Damian Lee, Klay Thompson, James Wiseman, all out, and Moses Moody as questionable. On the Clippers, we have Batum, Kawhi, Jason Preston, all out. Start with the Warriors. I think it's no secret who gets the first look. It's Curry. We're going to want at least one of these big names in here. Try and fit him. Curry's been phenomenal. Every game he plays. The last time he played against this Clipper team, he had 45 points, 10 rebounds, and just 1 assist. But he had a 2 stocks for good measure. 65.5 fantasy points. He was on fire. 8 of 13 from 3, 16 of 25 overall. Yeah, I mean, that's been Curry this year. Can we look at him? Yeah, of course you can look at him again. I think he'll get more than 1 assist in this matchup. I don't know if he'll shoot a blistering 16 of 25 and 8 of 13 from 3 again. The Clippers are much better defensively than that shows, but he's been on fire, so you can look at him. I would prefer Giannis at similar price tag, though, later on. We'll get to that soon. Outside of that, there's no Damian Lee, so there are some extra minutes to go around in the backcourt off the bench. Gary Payton Jr., Gary Payton the second, I'm sorry, sounds a little bit better here at 3.5. He should see about 15 minutes or so to 20 minutes. That's pretty much his range, but he's been bringing back some solid value there. Juan Toscano Anderson's been playing 3 out of the last 4 games, at least 23 minutes, back-to-back games. In 2 games, he has 35 fantasy points and 19 fantasy points. So at just 3,300 and some extra minutes to go around without Damian Lee, that makes sense there. Those are probably the 2 biggest. Oh, yeah, I forgot. I mentioned Iguodala's out too, so there's more minutes to go around for a couple people there. A couple people out there. Andrew Wiggins has been having himself a really, really solid game or season here. The first time he played against these guys, he had 17.6 boards, shot 6 of 15 from the field. He's actually shooting 50% from the field on the year, so 6 of 15 is way under his average. He's averaging 30 fantasy points a year or on the season, a game. But he got 33.5 in this one. I think he could possibly hit the 20-point mark in this one. I don't mind going at him at 6,700. We're probably going to have to fill our lineups with more even guys because a lot of the value is in the later game. Jordan Poole's another guy at 6,500. He's been really, really good. He had one of his worst games against this Clippers team when they faced earlier in the season. He shot just 4 of 14 from the field, 1 of 6 from 3, only 19 fantasy points. But he's been much, much better outside of that. His last 5 games, he's averaging 32.5 fantasy points each, 21 actual points, just about 4 rebounds, 4 assists. He's been really, really solid. So he's another name to file under there. I do prefer Wiggins slightly more at just 200 more. Then there's Draymond. We know Draymond does what Draymond does. I do prefer Wiggins a little bit more as well here. So that would be the guy I go to in the mid-tier range. But Kevon Looney, another guy. They're going to probably play him a little bit more. They play big here. 4K. He's beat that price tag or tied it in 3 of the last 4 games. And all 4 of those games, he's had at least 20 minutes. So just another guy to fill out your lineup and not have to be overly worried about it. On the other side of the ball, we have Paul George. And that's the big name over here. First time he played these guys, he had 58 fantasy points, and he's under 10K in this one. That's what I like to see. Under 10K, I think we can go to him. He hasn't had the greatest stretch. If you look at his last 5 games, he's averaging just 41 fantasy points. But they need a big game from him in this one if they want to have a chance to beat the Warriors here. So Paul George is squarely in my player pool, especially since he's under 10K in this one. And his price tag went down a little bit. Another guy you can look at under 6K now is Reggie Jackson. He put up nearly 30 fantasy points in that first meeting, which is it in value here. 29.3. He had 11 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, and he only shot 4 of 19 from the field. A terrible 4 of 19 from the field, and he still put up what would be value at his price tag right now. So that kind of volume, you can expect to, even if he shot 33%, he's getting you 35 fantasy points there. So Reggie Jackson is a guy that I'm looking at in that mid-tier range, under 6K. His price tag dropped again as well, which is really nice to see. And we can take advantage of that price discount there. Outside of those two, Terence Mann's probably the next guy I'm looking at, 4-6. Probably one of the last guys I'm looking at. He's coming off a pretty good game there. Played 31 minutes in the last one against Detroit, 6 of 13 from the field, 16 points, 34.5 fantasy points. This is a matchup where the Warriors like to play smaller and they like to mix and match, have a lot of forward type guys out there. So Terence Mann can see himself getting more minutes. Again, we don't have a Nick Batum, so Terence Mann could be finding himself in smaller ball lineups with Marcus Morris at center, opposing Draymond Green a little bit. So I like that there. And speaking of Marcus Morris, the guy, since he come back, he played 31 and then 23 minutes in both games. So I don't think there's really a minutes limit here. And at 4,400, no Nick Batum. He could see 30 to 35 minutes in this one. Another guy that the last guy, I guess, that I'll throw in here. And those are the guys I'm looking at on this side of the ball. I think we have some value here. I think we have some mid-tier guys we can look at, and Paul George is always an option.
People like to have fun during the holidays. You know what's not fun? Returning an ugly sweater. Don't give anyone an ugly sweater this year. Give choice gift cards from giftcards.com instead, and they can pick their own sweater from some of their favorite brands. It's genius.
Unjunk your sleep at Mattress Firm's Cyber Week sale and wake up a better you. Shop in-store or online and save up to $500 when you get a king bed for the price of a queen or a queen for a twin. Plus, get a free adjustable base with qualifying Sealy purchase up to a $499 value. Or save up to $500 on Tempur-Pedic, the most highly recommended bed in America. And you can shop with confidence thanks to our low price guarantee. Unjunk your sleep, only at Mattress Firm. Offer valid with qualifying purchase. Restrictions apply. See details at mattressfirm.com.
On the other game, the second game of the first slate, I don't like the 2 and 3 game slate, but here we are. We have the Bucks traveling to the Pacers. We have a 217.5 game total. This tips off at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Also, I forgot to mention the first one was 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But the Bucks are 3-point road favorites in this one. Oh, it's a Sunday, slipping up, holiday weekend. Here we go, though. The Pacers are on the front end of a back-to-back, and I also forgot to mention, again, Sunday slip-ups, that the Clippers are also on the front end of a back-to-back. Those are the only two teams that are on the front or back end. Everybody else is good to go. On the Bucks side of the ball, we'll start with the injury report. We have DiVincenzo, Brook Lopez, Semi Ojeleye all out, and the Pacers just have TJ Warren on the injury report. Giannis at 11-2. That's a good price. I mean, for him, first time he played these guys, he put up 62.5 fantasy points. And I expect that to be something similar. He had 30 points, 10 rebounds, 9 assists, 3 stocks. I like that here, and I think I mentioned it a little bit earlier. I prefer Giannis for the $200 increase for Curry. I think they're both fantastic options, but if I had to pick one, I'm going to go Giannis here. Slightly more expensive, pretty much similar, right in the same ballpark. But I think the matchup for Giannis, you see the opposing rank is 7th for the Pacers as their big man, but I like this matchup for Giannis. He's a little bit too quick and a little bit strong for Sabonis on the perimeter as well. You can take him off the dribble and you can get him in the post. I do like this here, and he might get some center minutes as well. And I don't think Miles Turner is the stopper of Giannis here, so I do really like Giannis at 11-2. Outside of that, you have Middleton at 7K, which normally would be a price tag I would jump all over. He has a $500 discount from the last game. And I think as he starts getting more acclimated, I'll start pouncing on that. But he still hasn't looked himself since he's come back from about on that COVID list. He hasn't topped 40 fantasy points since then. And he topped it before he left. But nothing since. He hasn't even hit 35 fantasy points since he's come back. So that is still discouraging at the moment, and I don't really want to go to 7K to him. I think we have some other options. But eventually, and it's going to be very soon, I'm going to start pouncing all over him. I think that's going to be a very good price tag. Bobby Portis, decent 6'8". That is a tough matchup for him with Miles Turner just controlling the paint out there in the defensive end. I mentioned I like it for Giannis, but not as much so for Bobby Portis. Though I do like Drew Holiday's price tag at 6'6". That's a very rock solid price tag. He's starting to pick it up a little bit. And I think you can attack the Pacer backcourt here. So I prefer Drew Holiday of those three outside in that mid-tier group to play at 6'6" as the cheapest one there. And lastly, Grayson Allen. Still going back to him. His offensive role has obviously dwindled down since Chris Middleton came back. We don't have DiVincenzo or Lopez there yet, and that's going to dwindle down even more. But at 4-3, he's an option to take a chance on. I do think we have other options, even in the slate, but he's just another one to differ in tournaments. Not so much cash. All right, on the other side of the ball, Sabonis. First time they played these guys, he had 21 points, 13 rebounds, 5 assists, nearly 47 fantasy points. He's only 8-4. He's another guy that keeps dropping. He hasn't had the season that you'd expect. He's only averaging just under 41 fantasy points on the year, 18 and 11.5, not even averaging 20 points a game. But this is a decent matchup for him. Not so much against Giannis, but it's going to be a fast-paced, a good high-scoring game here. I mentioned the 217.5 over-under. I think they beat that for all you bettors out there. Sabonis is a guy you can look at. We do have all those high-priced options, though, are very nice options up there, so I'm not going to have a ton of exposure to him, if any, but I don't mind him here. I do like Malcolm Brogdon. I like the matchup here. I don't know how much Drew Holiday he'll see. He'll probably see a fair amount, but Drew Holiday might also see a lot of Karis LeVert. We'll see exactly how that plays out, but I do like the Brogdon matchup here, and at only 7-3, that is a solid price tag. Karis LeVert, same thing, 5-2. That's a solid price tag. Miles Turner at 6K, that's a solid price tag. I think the mid-tier group on this team right there, those three guys are all in play for me at varying levels depending on how much money I have and depending on which positions I need to fill. But I can certainly see myself playing any one of those three guys. I think they're all pretty solid here. And Chris Duarte at 3,900, under 4K here. I like that too. He's, even though his role has diminished a little bit, he still played in the last 4 games at least 23 minutes, and the last 3 straight games at least 20 fantasy points. So value still to be had there. Under 4K, I like him here. But the 3 main guys I'm looking at, likely in the order of Brogdon, Turner, LeVert, how they're priced is how I like them, and I'm going to have a lot of exposure to each of them. Again, it all depends on the lineups you're building, different, and how many lineups you're building. You're going to have money left over, or you'll have the right amount of money to fit any of those 3, and I'll take some chances on all of them. I think they're all in very solid matchups, and again, I think the game total 217.5, I think it goes over here. All right, jumping on over to the other side of the slate, and before we do that, guys, the NBA is back, and at DraftKings Sportsbooks, an authorized sports betting partner of the NBA. The key to victory is a strong starting 5. New customers can bet just $5 on any NBA team to win their game, and if they do, you win $200 in free bets. So why not make your roster money, 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 and money. DraftKings Sportsbook customers can also get skin in the game with new same-game parlays. Combine multiple bets from the same game for a bigger payout. The more legs you add, the more money you can win. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. Best of all, you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code NBA today. Bet just $5 on any NBA team to win their game, and you win $200 in free bets. If they win, you win with promo code NBA today. This week at DraftKings Sportsbook, an authorized sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, let's go on to this next slate. We have a 3-gamer here that starts at 6 p.m., 2 at 6 p.m., 1 at 9:30. First game on the docket, we have the Sacramento Kings traveling to Memphis to take on the Grizzlies. We have a 225 game total, which is the highest of the night. And the Grizzlies are 1-point home favorites. On the injury report, and this is where a lot of value comes in, we have John Morant, Sam Merrill both out. And on the Kings, we have Rashawn Holmes out. Harrison Barnes, doubtful. Mo Harkless, questionable. I don't expect any of those 3 to play. All right. We're going to start with the Kings. They are the away team here. And again, we have no Holmes. Likely no Barnes. I don't expect him to play. Likely no Harkless. And even if he does, so value. Once again, Marvin Bagley, 4,500. Coming off a 35-minute game. Yes, many overtimes in that game. But he secretly played the more minutes than anyone in that second group. He played more minutes than Medu, who started. He only played minutes behind Halliburton, Fox, Hield, and Len. Okay, then. That's just food for thought. Marvin Bagley, 4,500. If he's back in the rotation, we have a new coach. Luke Walton is out. Guy's been playing really well lately. He's 9 of 11 from the field in the last 2 games, with 15 rebounds and 25 points. He has top 20 fantasy points in 2 straight games, and we know this guy's potential. New coach who clearly has him in the rotation. I like me some Marvin Bagley, especially with no Holmes, no Barnes, no Harkless. Again, I don't think any of them play, so that's how I'm looking at it. So sign me up. Alex Len, 3,500. Tristan Thompson, 3,300. Len, we know, is starting. And Len played 37 minutes in that last game. Again, went to many overtimes, but he's clearly a big part of the rotation without Rashawn Holmes here. And he dropped 12 and 8 in that 37 minutes. Maybe he goes down to 30. And the game before that, he only played 17. But still, brought back 20 points in both games. He brought back 21 points in 17 minutes and 24 and 37. At 3,500, yes, you can certainly play him here. Davion Mitchell, there's going to be more minutes for you. There's going to be more minutes for you also, Terence Davis and Tristan Thompson. There's a lot, like 3 people that normally have started most of the games this year are not playing. I do prefer Len over Thompson, even though Thompson does happen to gobble up points and rebounds in a short amount of time, and he makes sense as a tournament option. And I prefer Terence Davis. He's back in the rotation. He missed some time, but now he's back. He played 29 minutes in that 85 overtime game against the Lakers the other night. And he dropped 13 points. He took 15 shots. He only made 4 of them, but he took 15 shots in his 29 minutes on the floor. And at 3,100, definitely can take a chance on him. So there's just a lot of value to be had here. Like Buddy Hield might start. And if he doesn't, who cares? He's still going to play 30-plus minutes here. And he's only 6,400. Last 3 games, he's had at least 30 fantasy points. We know there's going to be more shots. We know there's going to be more minutes for him. I like Buddy Hield. I haven't touched on Fox or Halliburton at the moment. And I just think there's so much value here. You can have a lot of these guys. I don't mind a stack on this team, in this game. Both of those guys, Halliburton and Fox, have been fantastic this year as well. I started with all the value because there is so much. Len, Thompson, Davis, Bagley. But the guys at the top of the list are also in play. And there's going to be no Ja. I think this game stays very competitive still. But there's just a lot to like on that Sacramento side. A lot to like. In the projected highest total of the night for good reason as well. We're going to the next side of the ball, the Grizzlies side. Ja's not going to play in this one. We know this. I don't know how many games he's going to miss. They said sprain. I hate the word sprain. All it means is that a ligament was hurt, not a muscle or tendon, and it could be anything from just a stretch of the ligament, like a week or so off, to an ACL tear, a complete tear. I hate the word sprain. It's just super vague. It doesn't really mean any. Again, all it means is that it wasn't a muscle or tendon that was hurt. It was a ligament. But it could mean from a simple stretch of that ligament to a complete tear of that ligament. And I hate that word. Same with strain. It's the opposite, pretty much just the opposite. It means same thing, but it was a muscle or tendon that was hurt, not a ligament. But that is for another day. Here we are, no Ja. Got to see the starting lineup. Tyus Jones probably going to be starting here at 4,800. We know this guy can get a near double-double with some steals anytime he plays. So we've seen this last year when Ja missed time. We've seen this in rookie year. Anytime that Ja misses, Tyus Jones is usually a one-for-one swap. But we also have Melton, who's lost a lot of minutes, and now, like, those minutes are coming right back at 3,700. Another guy liking this one. Dylan Brooks, never one to shy away from shooting. He's going to find himself as the number 1 option in his mind over Jaren Jackson Jr. So Dylan Brooks, another guy that makes sense. I don't love the matchup, but he's going to be chucking and gunning and running and gunning. I like him at 6,500. I think Tyus Jones and DeAnthony Melton are the best value plays here because we know a lot of value is just going to fall into their lap without Ja. One of those two likely to start. I'm putting my money on Tyus Jones, but there's minutes for both of them to run the offense and to play a lot. Those are the 2 guys I'm looking at the most. Dylan Brooks next because I just know he's going to want to shoot. He's going to likely take 20 shots in this game, as long as it stays competitive, which I think it will. And that's probably it for here. I'm not looking too crazy at everybody. I do like Jaren Jackson Jr., but I want to see how he works without Ja getting him a couple easy looks here. All right, jumping on over to the next side. Next game at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have those 2 and then one at 9:30. This is the Boston Celtics taking on the Toronto Raptors. We have a 210 game total, which is by far the lowest of the night, and the Raptors are 1.5-point home favorites. On the injury report, the Celtics, Jaylen Brown is questionable. Dennis Schroeder, Robert Williams, both out. Toronto has Kem Burke, out. Gary Trent Jr., OG Anunoby, questionable. Again, lots to sort through in this injury report here. With Jaylen Brown questionable and possibly no Dennis Schroeder, Jason Tatum becomes really, really easy to look at here under 10K. If Brown plays, not as much, but if he doesn't, we know Tatum has had success against this Toronto team in the past. Not as much this year. He's averaging 20 points, 8.5 boards, 5.5 assists. He's shooting 42% against them. He's just shooting really poorly this year. But we know in the past couple years, he's had very much success against them. And at 9-9, if there's no Jaylen Brown, no Schroeder, it's a lot of shots to go around for him. I will take a long, hard look there. Another guy, Marcus Smart. A lot of opportunity for him, a lot of minutes, no Schroeder, and possibly no Jaylen Brown there. Only 5,700. His price tag is still depressed. Back-to-back games of at least 36 fantasy points, and 3 of the last 4, he's done that. And 2 of those 5 games, I should say, he's had over 40 fantasy points. So Marcus Smart is another guy to take a chance on here. Grant Williams likely draws a start, especially if there's no Jaylen Brown. Not bad at under 4K. Don't think we have to go to him. I think we have so much value that I don't have to go into any other value here. Likely sticking to Tatum and Smart, depending on Brown's availability. On the other side of the ball, we got to know about OG and Gary Trent Jr. There's no Burke. That might be 3 people who've been starting a lot of games on this team out. Precious, 4,200 would make a lot of sense. Siakam and Van Vliet and Scotty Barnes, a lot more opportunity for all 3 of them. I like some Barnes at the discount. He's just been crushing it. 31. He has at least 31 fantasy points in the last 3 games and nearly 40 in the other 2. At just 6.6, that's very good value here. And there might be more offensive potential for him if there's no Trent and no Anunoby. That's a lot of shots to go around for him. And you don't have to pay an $8,000 price tag like you would for a Van Vliet or a Siakam. So I really like Barnes here. The other 2, yeah, I think they're in good spots as well. And they both have had some success against Boston. But Scotty Barnes at that price tag, especially if the 2 guys, one above, one below him, miss, very solid there. And then Precious, yeah, he likely draws a start, especially if those 2 miss. So there's some, and even if they don't miss, he probably still draws the start. So very at 4,200, the guys has been very productive per minute. I'm going to take some looks at him. And then if those 2 guys do mix, Yuta Watanabe just returned last game. Maybe he draws a start. Svi, maybe he draws a start. Both those guys are at a bare minimum 3K, worth a look if you need that. Again, I think we have a lot of value. We don't have to go to the bottom barrel like that, but you have that option if both OG and Gary Trent are out. All right, jumping on over to the last game of the night. We have the Detroit Pistons taking on the Los Angeles Lakers in Los Angeles. We have a 216.5 game total and a Lakers 11-point home favorite spread. On the injury report, we have Killian Hayes, Frank Jackson, probable. Kelly Olynyk, out. Lakers, Trevor Ariza, Kendrick Nunn, out. LeBron, questionable. Anthony Davis, probable. I expect all those guys to play. And I expect there to be some, not as much antics as we might see. I'm hearing people say must see. I don't think it's going to be that crazy with what happened last game that these guys faced each other in not too long ago. That said, we're going to the price tag of the Detroit side of the ball. Cade Cunningham dropped in the one game against the Lakers, 50.5 fantasy points. He had himself a triple-double. And he only shot 6 of 21 from the field. 7.5K, I like that again. I don't think he's going to shoot that terrible, though he hasn't shot much greater on the year. He's shooting 33% from the field on the year, but that was only 28%, 1 of 9 from 3. If he made eight shots, he probably hits 55 fantasy points there. He had himself a monster triple-double. His loan of the season, 38 minutes, whopping 38 minutes, the most he's played. I expect that to continue again. A really good game from him. And at 75, I think that's a solid price tag there. Jeremy Grant at 71. He had himself a near 50-point game as well. He dropped 36 points, 12 of 25 shooting. He's has had success against the Lakers in the past when he was on the Nuggets as well. So that's not an outlier there. He would be another option for me. I do prefer Cunningham, but Grant makes sense in tournaments as a pivot. People are going to see the Cunningham triple-double, likely go back to him. Grant makes some sense there. Though Isaiah Stewart did get suspended there, so I'm taking his more with a grain of salt slightly, but does make sense at 71. Isaiah Stewart at 44. Yeah, I like it. He only played, again, 18 minutes in that first game. He only had 8 fantasy points, but he's probably going to want some revenge in this one. And he's going to, I would expect him to be the little engine, the big engine that could in this one, and beat that $4,400 price tag. It's bare minimum. We do have a lot of options, so we don't have to go here, but center option, that is a nice one. I haven't really mentioned many big centers outside of Precious there. They're pretty much the same price. Don't mind going there. And Precious, we'll see what happens with the lineup of the Raptors. He might get a ding there if both those two guys that are questionable do play. Outside of that, though I do like some people here, I'm not in like with them. Not too many. I don't think we have to go in that bargain bin too much because we have a lot of value in that first game. But Killian Hayes would make sense as a pivot play if you wanted to get an under a 4K and under guy in this game, in this environment, instead of loading up, which a lot of people are going to do in that first game. He didn't play in the first meeting against the Lakers, but the Lakers just bleed points and fantasy points. So under 4K, I will look that way. He'll be in the starting lineup again, so you can look over there. On the other side of the ball, LeBron, AD, Westbrook should all play. Malik Monk at 4,600 is making sense. Guy's been seeing a ton of minutes, 31 minutes, 34 minutes, and then last game, 44 minutes. Yes, like 85 overtime game against the Kings, but still, he's playing 30 minutes a night, the last 3 at least. And he's brought back an average over 30 fantasy points in the last 3 in those 30 minutes. Been on fire from the field. His last 6 games, he's shooting 50% from the field, and he took 32 threes. He's averaging he's just been playing really hot, finding his footing. He might even draw the start in this one. So if you wanted to wait for another value play all the way in the last game, Malik Monk would be the guy that I would target in this one. And then out of the other 3, LeBron, AD, Westbrook, likely LeBron. LeBron's the guy that I would choose here. He shot 10 of 25 in the last game when they lost to the Kings in that big overtime. 2 of 13 from 3. Yeah, he's not known for his 3-point shot, but that was just a bad game. A loss is on him mostly, and he is the lowest price of the 3 going against this Detroit team that Isaiah Stewart freaked out on the other night. So I think he's in for a bounce back and getting this team in the W column and over 500. LeBron would be the guy that I choose there. Not going to go after multiple guys in this lineup unless I just have the money, because there are a lot of value plays. But Malik Monk, LeBron James are the 2 guys I'm coming at over here. All right. Thank you guys for tuning in for the Sunday edition of DFS Today on Sports Ethos. We will catch you again tomorrow. Good luck on both slates, and we will be back to normal for Monday. All right. Have a great one. Happy holidays. Peace.